Welcome you all to another video, and today we are going to learn tragedy. For it, if you are new to my YouTube channel, please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon so you will get notification of such kind of videos, because this channel is dedicated to English literature and literary terms. So first we are going to start with the tragedy. So what is the tragedy? So this term is applied to literary, especially to dramatic representations of serious actions which eventuates in disaster conclusions for the protagonist or the chief characters. It was Aristotle. He has written one book, the Poetics. Actually, his guru, Plato, has written book named Republic, and in its 10th volume he has accused poetry as poetry is not once, twice, but thrice removed from reality, and poetry is mother of all lying. So, to answer this Platonic dilemma or this Plato's accused accusation, Aristotle has written the book Poetics, and in that book he has defined tragedy as a tragedy is the imitation of an action that is serious and complete, with some magnitude of beautifying of language, action and not narration, through pity and fear, and through catharsis of these emotions. So in this definition, he has talked about what is tragedy. So more precise and detailed discussion of tragic from properly begin, although they should not end with Aristotle's classic analysis in his Poetics, which was published in 4th century BC. Aristotle based his theory on induction from the only example available to him, the tragedies of Greek dramatists such as Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides. In the subsequent 2000 years and more, various new types of serious plot ending in a catastrophe have been developed. Types that Aristotle had no way of foreseeing. The many attempts to stretch Aristotle's analysis to apply to later tragic forms serve merely to blur his critical categories and to obscure important difference among a diversity of plays, all of which have proved to be dramatically effective. When flexibility managed, however, Aristotle's discussion apply in some part to many tragic plots, and his analytical concepts serve as a suggestive starting point of identifying the differentiate of various non-Aristotelian modes of tragic construction. So, as I have told you about his definition, again I repeat myself that he defined tragedy as the imitation of action that is serious and also has having magnitude complete in itself, in the medium of poetic language and in the manner of dramatic rather than of narrative presentation, involving incident arousing pity and fear, wherewith the accumulate the catharsis of such emotions. Precisely how to interpret Aristotle's catharsis, which in Greek signifies purgation or purification, or both, is much disputed. On two matters, however, many commentators agree. Aristotle, in the first place, sets out to account for undeniable, though remarkable, fact that many tragic representations of suffering and defeat leave an audience feeling not depressed but relieved or even exalted. In the second place, Aristotle uses this distinctive effect on the reader, which he calls the pleasure of pity and fear, and the basic way to distinguish the tragic form, comic or other forms, and he regard the dramatist aim to produce this effect in the highest degree as the principle that determines the choice and moral qualities of tragic protagonists and the organization of tragic plot. So tragedy is a literary device signifying a story or drama that presents an admirable or courageous character that confronts powerful forces inside and or outside of themselves. These characters do so with the dignity that reveals the nature of human spirit in a face of failure, defeat, and even death. In a tragedy, a protagonist is undone or brought to run by a critical character, flaw, or by the cruelty of fate. Literary tragedies recount a tragic hero's downfall in that protagonist typically begins in high position or esteem and ends low in despair. Okay, so Aristotle says about the tragic flaw or tragic hero will most effectively evoke both our pity and terror if he is neither thoroughly good nor thoroughly bad, but a mixture of both. And also that this tragic effect will be stronger if the hero is a better than we are, in the sense that he is of higher than ordinary moral worth. Such a man is exhibited as suffering a change in fortune from happiness to misery because of his mistaken choice of an action to which he is led by his hamartia, his error or mistake of judgment, or as it is often, although misleadingly and less literally translated, his tragic flaw. The tragic hero, like Oedipus in Sophocles' Oedipus the King or Oedipus Rex, moves us to pity because, since he is not an able man, his misfortune is greater than he deserves. But he moves us also to fear because we recognize similar possibilities of error in our own lesser and fallible slaves. Aristotle grounds his analysis of the very structure and incidents of the play. On the same principle, the plot, he says, which will most effectively evoke tragic pity and fear, is one in which the event develops through complications to a catastrophe in which there occurs a sudden peripetia or reversal in his fortune from happiness to disaster. So authors in Middle Ages lacked direct knowledge about the Aristotle's tragedy, but even though they started writing the tragedies. And then another form of tragedy is actually the Senecan tragedy, that is the revenge tragedy or tragedy of blood. And already I have made a dedicated video on the Senecan tragedy or the revenge tragedy or the tragedy of blood. So I will give you link of that and uh, in the description below, and I request you to go there and to watch the dedicated video on the tragedy of blood or the Senecan tragedy. So here again we can say that as a literary device, tragedy originated in ancient Greece with religious rituals and performances. Aristotle identified the elements of classical tragedy in his work Poetics, indicated that classical tragedy is the representation of a single action in which a hero of high status or prominence falls from fortune to misfortune due to his tragic flaw. In classical tragedy, the tragic flaw that causes the character's fall must be a misjudgment or shortcoming in the hero, not a vice or impurity. Aristotle also stipulated that the purpose of tragedy is to evoke fear and sympathy as a result of the hero's fall, leading to catharsis or healthy emotional purge for the audience. So, guys, here we have completed our literary device tragedy. Tomorrow we are going to meet with the comedy as well as the farce and melodrama. So thank you for being with me. Thank you for watching this video and see you in the next video. But before that, again, I feel you. If you are new to my YouTube channel, please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon so you will get the notification of such kind of latest videos. So see you in the next video.